Okay, so obviously before you practice, before you race, you always warm up your body. How do you warm up your mind? Or do you? Is that something you pay close attention to?
It's actually an interesting question because honestly, over the years, like I think in the past, you have a lot of I don't know if you want to call it anxiety. You still get butterflies, like that's why we want to race, right? But I don't really do too much to my mind, to be honest. I like to hop on something that's a little bit more of a full body warm up. But for some, I'm pretty lucky that naturally, as soon as the gate drops, I'm usually ready to go. Like I'm pretty fast in the beginning of the race, so I don't feel like I have to do that much to really get in the mood and get feisty, I guess. Having said that, I think it varies kind of from weekend to weekend too, because there's other weekends where you feel super on it and everything comes naturally, and then there's other weekends where that's not the case. But all in all, I usually, what makes me feel the best is just doing a little warm up that's full body and get a little burn in and kind of like, break a little sweat, basically.
Can you think of a race this year where maybe you mentally weren't there? Like, for whatever reason, the mental side just didn't click?
Yeah, what was actually after I think it was actually Arizona, the race that I won. That one was a tough one for me because honestly, throughout the day, I just was not in practice. Like I did this thing in the whoops. Like I went super fast through the whoops, got traction, missed one, and I bounced my helmet into my face, and so my goggles slid up into my eyes. So after that, like my eyes were so super watering, almost like they got scratched. Yeah. So the rest of the practice, that happened pretty early on, the rest of the practice was a complete wash because my eyes were watering so bad, and it was, you had long rhythms and you had to have clear vision. I did not have clear vision. So it started off kind of rough, and that made me, by the time qualifying came around, I wasn't really that one with the bike and with the track and everything. So I don't know, it just didn't come that easy to me. Granted, I have a lot of experience right now where by the time racing comes around, like I always get in the zone and I start figuring it out. But I would say that that's probably one of the races that it just was not great for me. And another one of those was Arlington, actually. I think those two races were kind of like the hardest on me. Just didn't really feel comfortable on the track and just didn't really have it.
Is that frustrating that on a day where you didn't have it, you won? And then on days where maybe everything's clicking and you feel amazing, you don't win. It's like the opposite to how it should be, and kind of reaffirms that you have no control over this a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, yes and no. Obviously winning is cool, but like, for example, in Detroit, I kind of got blocked off on the start and started midfield, and I was racing really well. I didn't win, but one of the funnest races I've done so far. So the results are always relative. I don't just judge it off of the result, you know what I mean? I always judge it off how much fun I had and how easy it came to me and how good of a flow, and there's just some weekends where you don't win, but had a lot of fun. So.
Switching gears, you are the one person I can talk to this about. MXGP starts this weekend and it's pretty stacked. Everyone's healthy. What do you see? What do you expect? Who do you like?
Well, I think for one, I think Prado has not the upper hand, but he did do some of the Supercross races. And what I remember in 2011, I did the West Coast Series, right? And then came to GPs. And just from the intensity that I learned from that, helped me go into the races because I was able to I felt really comfortable and natural to go right away, and I put a big gap in. So I think he's got that going for him. Having said that, obviously some people are on new bikes, so that'll be interesting. I do think that Fevre will be one of the top guys probably. Jeffrey's back, but he's has had his fair share of injuries and stuff. So I expect a little bit of, which is totally natural. I expect a couple of races of him finding his feet.
Yeah.
So I think Fevre and Prado will probably be the ones that I think have the best chances of winning, but I could be completely wrong. I'm slowly basing that off of my gut feeling and based off of last year.
Obviously, Prado's weakness in the past has been that he's not very aggressive. Supercross taught him that a little bit. Look at the move he did on AC in the last turn of A1. That's new for him. I almost feel like if I'm one of his competitors in MXGP, I'm like, okay, maybe this will be an improved Prado.
Yes and no. I've heard in the past that there was a lot of cross jumping going on and stuff like that. So I don't know if that was enough races to really get a grip on that and feeling that. But he does have the starts going for him, right? He is a really good starter, and when he's up front, he can do clean laps. So, and that's where the race starts. So he'll be up there and definitely battling for wins right off the bat, I think.
Last one, I was talking to Max about this morning. Do you feel like looking back on your GP days, maybe you didn't appreciate going to the different countries, seeing different cultures? Because like I say, I was talking to Max and we were reflecting on the cool stuff that we did that maybe you don't realize in the time.
Yeah, I mean, but when you grow up with that, it just is so normal, right? I started traveling through entire Europe when I was on a 65, so it just was super natural. And yes, I agree that, especially after COVID, not going anywhere, I love going to different cultures. Like, doing with WSX especially, you get to go to all these different countries and continents, especially places that. So back in the day, you'd go to, I'd race in Brazil, and that's a completely new continent, and it was cool to be able to experience that, and then that completely stopped, right? So now that WSX kind of opened up the doors again, where after so many years of seeing new countries, and then I was kind of, domesticated being here, and now I'm able to venture out again. So it's pleasant on the eye and on the just experience-wise, So yeah, I love going to different places, but we have the schedule that we have here in the U.S. is so busy. It's kind of hard to really get that under one cap, unless you're doing WSX or race Motocross of Nations every now and then and stuff. But some of that stuff might have to wait for people until they retire.
Speaking of WSX, when do we know what your schedule looks like post Supercross? How many outdoors you'll be doing? WSX haven't released a schedule yet. Are you in limbo a little bit with that stuff?
A little bit right now, yeah. I don't want to do a full outdoor season. I'm pretty content with what I'm doing right now. And then based on how many outdoor races I'll do, that'll also depend on how many races we have in WSX, because once that starts, the schedule that we have right now is kind of gnarly. Like, I'm going to be gone from home for quite a bit a good chunk at once. I've honestly just tried to focus on what's happening right now, and so I honestly have no idea what's going to happen for outdoors, whether I started off right away or I really don't know. Also, contractually, I have to check how many races in total I have to do.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of factors being weighed in, right?
Okay, not to go too deep right off the bat, but I feel as though this season has been good for you.
Yes.
But yet, as we've discussed many times, this is in no way your ceiling, despite some people maybe thinking it is.
Yes.
So in yourself, do you battle that? Like, where's your mental contentment at?
I would say in the past I have battled that. This year, for me, having a full 1-year deal with the Suzuki guys, like not worrying about outdoors in 2 months and what am I going to do for that. So I'm on the Suzuki all year. I got to race Supercross on it last year, and when I got on the bike late before Supercross this year. It was like mid-December again, and so really the first couple weeks were kind of mud races, and then not getting to ride in between the rounds because of rain. So the last 2 to 3 weeks, I feel like I've been in off-season mode a little bit, where I'm making big progressive days every day I'm on the bike. So I'm nowhere near my ceiling, I feel like. I'm excited to be where I am. We're halfway through the season now, and I feel like I'm just getting warmed up. And mentally, I'm there. Physically, I'm getting stronger every week. And it's this year. It's like I want to continue to get my feet under me in the 450 class, because I haven't done that. And just, I guess, for reference, this year compared to last year, it's like I'm night and day different at this point of the season this year than I was last year. So, I'm showing up to work every day. I'm trying to be better every time I'm on the bike, and it's really starting to show. And I'm excited that I feel so good. I'm putting in the work during the week and the motos, and the bike is coming around. We just continue to make steps all the way around, and I want to keep going, because I feel like I am capable of racing with the guys in the front. I'm just trying to get the experience and the time back that I haven't really had for a couple years now.
So it sounds like, more than anything, maintaining momentum is the key thing at the moment.
Yep.
If this momentum gets disrupted, it will put you back to where you were last year, the year before. You are going in a good way. You're not there yet.
Yeah.
And all we need to do is maintain that and stop there being a disruption.
Correct. And that's where the last 2 years, it's like I've been on like five to six different bikes, and that's where I've told people, like, dude, I can go jump on a bike and ride it at 80%, no problem, do all the jumps on the first lap. Like, that's not an issue. But when I show up to the races and I have to ride it at 95, 100%, and everybody else has had years on their bike, it's like it's hard to be there and not think you're in a deficit a little bit. And that's where it's like, I also want to be real about things and like, yeah, dude, I'm not where I need to be, and some of these guys I shouldn't be beating. Like they're 10 years ahead of me, and it's like I'm okay with that, but I still want to try and learn from them. I still want to try and hang on to them if it's for 2 laps longer every weekend. So yeah, it's we need to keep the momentum going, and I'm healthy. I feel really good, and like I said, I'm getting better every single day I'm on the bike, and I'm having a lot of fun. So I really feel like I'm in a good growing spot to continue this year. And it's like to get last year, other than round 1 where I crashed in the LCQ on the start, like that was the only main event I missed, and so that was a big deal doing the full season. So this year it's like I'm trying to apply myself at every single race and to continue building. And yeah, we're halfway through the season, and I feel like we're on track to continue doing that.
Do you ever look back, and maybe, I mean, this isn't really a press day question, but
Yeah.
do you ever look back and wonder what would have happened if you didn't go to Star? Do you feel like that would have changed your path at all, long term?
I think it would be, and at the time it was something that we really prayed about, something that we were really struggling with, because I was doing good, but we kept running into issues, and it was like three years in a row of like getting in the same holes and kind of repetitively doing the same things, and it's like expecting a different result. And yeah, so it's like, you know what, we need a change. We need to take this step, and we need to, yeah, just get out of our comfort zone a little bit. Like that was one of the biggest things, is like, hey, everything was going good for so long that it's like, hey, I'm good here. I'm good. I win a couple races a year, and it's like, I obviously want to win more, but it's like once that momentum stops progressing, you start to try and figure out, where can I make up ground in other places. And you're like, well, I've tried that, and it's like, we need to look at this a different way. And so going to Star was that different way.
It's funny, back then you wanted to get out of your comfort zone,
Yeah.
and now you're almost trying to find a comfort zone again.
Correct, yeah. And that's in a good way. It's like my comfort zone now is in a totally different place than where it was then. And it's like I'm 5 years older than I was then. So it's growing up a little bit. It's having to work for it, and that was also kind of a thing with being there, is like we got comfortable because I was there for a while, and it was almost a lack of on my part, where it's like, hey, you build those walls and then you don't want to get out of those walls. Well, then you stop doing things that would help you get out of those walls. So that move was kind of tearing down those walls and like growing. And now it's like I still remember that clearly, and I still kind of take that along with me, because it's like I don't ever want to put up those walls again. So it's taught me a lot in a good way, that hey, I need to stay uncomfortable in some things to continue growing.
Okay, first of all, you're back, which is a big deal, because it was meant to happen long before this. What was the delay? How was the injury? How was the last 2 months been?
Yeah, the delay was just strictly the shoulder. I was just waiting, because I got hurt December around 14th, and then I thought it was only going to be a few weeks. I thought we were going to line up for A1. Tried to ride, was like, okay, this thing is nowhere near where I thought it was going to be. It was just super weak, couldn't really hang on. So we went and got some more tests done, realized it was a little further injured than I thought initially. And then after that, I was just waiting. I was dealing with some nerve damage, so that was the biggest holdup, because that's unpredictable and you never know with it. And then all of a sudden, one day, you just go over the hump and it's good. So that's what we were waiting on. The past 2 months were pretty turn track, for a long time. I think I was on the turn track for 3 weeks before we felt like we could do anything else. At first it started, let's try and ride 8 minutes, then it was 10, 15, that was kind of the progression we were at. So it was really, really slow, a lot slower than I thought. And then the past 2 weeks have been the biggest 2 weeks we've had for sure, as far as speed. And I got good training partners, I ride with Pierce and Ryder and, these kids in the Will Hahn group. And that's been helping to give me a gauge and kind of see where we are. And then as I progress, the bikes progress, and then we've kind of been going step for step. So finally at a point where we wanted to go race. We thought maybe that'd be Daytona, maybe Arlington, just wasn't there yet. And then, like I said, we had a lot of stuff to test with the bike that I wanted to try before we raced. And then luckily the team was patient enough to let me do it and decided to end up here in Alabama.
Daytona was great for the team. Benny put the bike in the top 10.
Huge, yeah.
I could see that going one of two ways for you. First of all, it could be amazing, give you confidence coming into your return, or it could work the opposite way and you're like, shit, there are now going to be expectations on me because the bike can do it.
Yeah.
So where do you kind of land with that?
Yeah, I mean, in a way, the expectation's always there, right, no matter what. It's good to see, I think, from the team perspective that, you know, just to see like how much progression we've made since A1, I think is the biggest thing as a whole. But I mean, to compare myself to Benny, you can't do that anyway. You know, I just want to go out and do the best, be the best version of myself, wherever that is. You know, if that's in the top 10, cool. If it's not, then we'll work hard till we get there. But I feel like I know where I should be. Like I said, I got good gauges back at home to ride with kids where I feel like I should know where my speed is and how good I can be on this bike. But yeah, I mean, like I said, we're going stride for stride, and that was a great result for Benny, for the team, mainly just the morale boost it gave everybody was pretty huge, you know, so that was sick. And then me coming back this weekend, I'm just excited. I don't really know where we're going to be at, but I'm just ready to get back out there and see where we are.
Yeah, how are you going to manage this mentally? Because there will be knocks, you're building your body up, you're building the bike up, so it's not going to be easy. How are you going to stop yourself from getting flustered and falling too deep into a hole?
I mean, unfortunately for me, I've had to do this a time or two before, you know, so it's not my first rodeo as far as coming into a series late, coming in injured, you know, doing whatever. It's tough because everyone's in that mid-season stride at this point, and, you know, I'm coming in, this is my A1. So we got to work some kinks out. You know, we can't expect too much. I mean, I've got to watch this from every angle, and you see even the greats like Jeffrey Hurlings. He comes back and he's a little rusty the first few, and then he kind of gets to his feet, and you're like, okay, that's Jeffrey Hurlings, you know. So same thing. I mean, it takes time. We try and be as prepared as we can, but there's nothing like racing. So, you know, we'll go out there and see where we need to improve on the bike. I'm sure we'll be like, oh, whoa, we thought we were good, we're not, you know, or we could be good. You never know. But no, I'm excited, man. The expectation's there as always, but I just want to go out and be the best version of myself.
The MXGP riders have always said that the handling is the best part about the bike.
Yep.
From the very first day of testing in 2021, Van Horbig said it handles like a mountain bike. How does that translate to Supercross, charging through jumps, and is that as advantageous?
Yes and no. I think that's the battle we're still trying to figure out, you know, where that line is of being too soft and flexy and then being stiff enough to handle the push. And that's kind of where we're working. You know, that's been the biggest thing, I think, is just strictly a fork and shock setup that can mimic what the frame and chassis does well. And for us, that's been hard, you know, because it seems like it's always too soft, like with the way the flex is.
Yeah.
So going stiffer, kind of bringing the rake in a little bit, it's been something that's been good for us. But no, I mean, I feel, like I said, compared to where we were pre-A1 to now is night and day. The bike handles really well. I feel like it goes to the whoops well. Kind of does a lot of things that I used to struggle with pretty bad. It does it good. So that's good for me. I think it's a good thing.
And last one, you personally, you were a 250 champion. Maybe you got a tough break moving to the 450 class, just support-wise from the industry, maybe people overlooked you. Do you still feel as though you've got a point to prove and you want to kind of confirm to yourself and to everyone that you are the guy who you know you are?
I mean, always. Yeah, I mean, everybody does. I mean, I always reference like these guys, like I've seen multiple interviews with talking about RV. He wins 3 titles in a row, and they're like, is he still a guy? Can he do it? You know, like it happens at every level. You know, even when you're winning, it's the same thing. So for me, I mean, yeah, I want to prove that I can run the pace. I can be in that mix with these guys and battle with the best in the world. That's why we all do this. Like, I want to get to a point where I can say I can try and win a race. That's what I want to do, you know, as a 450 rider. So, I mean, we've got a long ways to go, but you got to start somewhere, you know, and I believe in my ability and what I can do. And yeah, I always got a point to prove.
So, tell me, you've been in an underdog position for a while now. HEP, Firepower. You're kind of punching above your weight, being on a satellite team, battling with the factories. But you are a factory rider. In GPs, you're on many factory teams, expected to win. So do you feel like this underdog position suits you better? Or is it even weird for you to think that back in the day you were the factory guy on the other side of the coin?
Not really, because at the end of the day, I know it's different, but World Supercross, Australia Supercross, I'm going in there as the factory guy, and still World Supercross for me like I wanted that world championship. So it was like, all right, and now we've just transferred that to here. The bike's similar. I've been around long enough that the glitz and glamour of this and that and whatever people say doesn't really affect me. I know that yeah, all right, my team might be small, but we're here to do work and to do business and get the job done, and that's what it's all about. Because I mean, at the end of the day, Marty, he's had the red plate before. He's been on multiple teams over here in the US. All right, it's a little different in the US for me. Like, I've not been on a factory set up in the US, but I mean, I have been in Europe. I know what the pressure's like from that. It's just a different kind of pressure, but it's still the same for myself. Like, I still expect to go and win and to have the red plate and to do what I'm doing. Of course, there's a different reality to that. Obviously, there's a lot of good bikes and a lot of great teams and a lot of great riders. But yeah, the race is the race. It's a lot more to racing than just winning the race. And I'm just here to do the best job that we can.
When I call you underdog, or other people say you're an underdog, does it piss you off because you want to be the dog? I don't know if the dog is the correct phrase, but you get what I mean.
Well, I mean, I guess, but I don't really care. I don't really care what people think or say. It's
mental contentment.
Yeah, like I'm happy with where I'm at. Like, I'm content with. I mean, I still don't feel like the first 3 rounds have actually even gone that well, even though I've got the red plate. It's not like I've gone and like dominated and been like, right, I'm out for. Obviously, I know there's a lot of great riders, so it's hard. It's not easy to do. I've had moments of, you know, the heat race last week. There was a lot of good things, but some stuff hasn't gone completely our way. But we're still in a solid position. I mean, being the underdog or not being the underdog, I guess coming in, you feel a little bit less pressure. I don't really know. It's still, I'm just kind of rolling. I'm just going to racing. What's important is we're at a race, the gate drops, I'm on my bike. I've done the best job that I can with my team and my bike with what we've got, and it's good enough to have the red plate for now. We're here to go and do work this weekend, whether we leave here with the red plate or not. It's not my place to say that on my days it's going to work out in my favour and I'm going to smash it or whatever. You can have a good race, you can have a bad race, but I believe we've got the tools to do a great job and to go to work and execute, hit our marks, come out of here where we come out here. But I can't control what the other people do, so I'm just here to race the best that I can race.
We've seen enough so far to know that you are probably the best guy in the whoops in this class, but we are yet to have real whoops. Probably not going to this weekend as well. It's raining really hard. Does that piss you off? And does that almost put you off your game a little bit? Because you are sat here seeing that your strength has been taken away, whereas other guys whose strengths are starts or turns, they're unaffected.
I guess, but then when you think about it, like, I'm a good guy in the whoops. Like, I come from GPs, all right? I've put a lot of effort into being good in the whoops, and like, I remember, you know, asking Jet when I was there in 2022. I remember asking everyone. I'm a learner. I try to ask questions, and I was at practice tracks when I very first came over at the end of 2019, 2020. Like, you know, even when I was on HEP with Adam Enticknap, Carl Cunningham, Ryan Brees at the time that was riding there. Like, I'm trying. It's crazy to think that I'm actually really good in the whoops now, but yet then I started at ground zero in a way. Like, I had a lot to learn, and I'm just constantly evolving and growing. So that makes me feel good, whether we have whoops or not. It doesn't really matter. I'm still good at the turns and I'm good at the jumps. It doesn't necessarily make a massive difference. Yeah, the track had a big set of whoops and a massive sand section. All right, give me the trophy now. but it doesn't work like that. Supercross is Supercross. We're racing, whether it's got whoops or not. I mean, in my mind, Supercross has to have whoops for it to be Supercross. But and of course, yeah, if it's wet and it's deep, and one bike might work better than another bike. My bike works really good in tight stuff, which is what kind of World Supercross and Australia has been. And then, you know, yeah, some faster tracks. There's pros and cons to everything, but there's not many things that I haven't seen in my career, whether it's Supercross. I mean, I haven't had that many years of Supercross, but still conditions of tracks or, you know, being thrown curveballs. It is what it is. I deal with the situation. The track will be what it'll be. I'll make the best of the track, and I'll be the best going through the rollers if they're rollers, and the best going around the turns, or try to be the best going around the turns or through the rhythm sections, and ride my bike to its full potential. And that's that's all you can do. You can't turn around and go, oh, if I had this or if I had that. The track will be what it'll be, and we'll make the best of it.